Guys, I have bad news. Last week, Mindy yelled at me and said my hair looks stupid. This week, she yelled at me before the cameras were on, and I need help. So send help, please.
No, I'm just going to be honest. We're having a moment because I don't really like him this week. So listen, you guys want real? This is real. And we have 2 guests here who just win.
I wouldn't say every day.
I got yelled at.
Yeah, I'm not used to it.
And I didn't even do anything. I was catching strays.
No.
It's probably the kids.
He doesn't know how to
Darn
communicate.
kids.
We have to go back and watch some of our videos because clearly our communication sucks.
Been there.
I wouldn't blame anybody here
Anyway,
other than someone named. Starts with an M.
you would blame me
Ends with an
for your lack of communication
Elinda.
last night about what you're doing tonight. That's crazy.
All right. Well, we
Anyway.
got guests. We're gonna take advantage of them being here with us, which is
Guys,
gonna
welcome.
be fun. Two people we've known for a long time.
Yeah. Buddy, Deshaun, Jenkins.
Deshaun.
The government. Yep.
That's
there we
the
go.
profit.
And his wonderful wife, who people mess her name up all the time, but it's not
Yes.
hard, guys. It's Jahmica.
Jahmica.
Very easy. Very simple.
hard.
Yeah.
No longer Jahmica
Yeah.
Muhammad. Now
Yes.
Jenkins.
She's been set free from Islam.
Yeah. She was converted to Christianity.
Oh my
Flag us
Praise God.
out.
Praise the Lord.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, no, they got married 7 months ago, 6 months ago, 7 months ago.
Six.
December.
You don't need a mic.
November 3rd.
In November, they got married. And,
November 3rd. I'll hold it.
And we wanted to bring them on, interview them. I think it's super important to be able to have conversations like this. One of my mentors, he was talking to me and he said, the secret is often in the conversation. Mm-hmm. And we all, not all of us, but we mostly know what we should be doing. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's just those quick little one-offs or those perspectives that you've never heard before from a conversation that just changes your whole mindset and things. So the secret's in the conversation, and we're going to have that conversation real quick. And Melinda is going to start off with the questioning, like an interrogation.
What is your problem?
He set you up.
I get bullied, send help.
Okay, guys. All right, so I just really want you guys to share a little bit about your background and how you grew up, how you viewed marriage, and then we'll kind of transition into like what you did to prepare for marriage.
Yeah. For me, so I started living with my aunt and uncle when I was 3 years old. So them and my great grandparents were really the only 2 sets of people that I seen really married. My great grandparents I didn't really get to see as up close because my great grandfather passed away when I was probably like 4 or 5. So I was like really young. So obviously I wasn't able to really see what their marriage looked like. But for the most part, I guess how marriage was really modeled for me at home was more from, I guess it definitely wasn't the healthiest, but my uncle was a very how would I describe him? He was very much like, because they were older. They weren't like a lot of younger parents. They were older, so they very much exemplified a lot of the very older generation. Like my uncle was very much like hard love, wake up super early, go work very hard 9 to 5 at a factory, come home and do it all over again. And was very much like work the ground, fish, like that was his thing, get in the mud type stuff. And then my aunt was pretty much, the caregiver at home. She worked here and there from time to time again. But that was kind of pretty much how it would model for me for the most part. Was my uncle was very much like a man's man, and then my aunt was just kind of like, I guess the wife, the stereotypical wife. But outside of that, I guess marriage wasn't really that much modeled for me. My dad wasn't really in my life like that, so I wasn't able to see from your parents being married what that looked like or what that was supposed to look like. And then even then, it was more, I learned from more, I guess, seeing, like my uncle never sat me down, was like, this is how you be a good husband, this is how you be a good father. It was more like I just watched whatever he did, and obviously there was good things and there was negative things. That was probably the closest from early on what I really seen from when it comes to like a marriage or like a relationship standpoint. And I guess from that viewpoint, I guess it really wasn't nothing that really stuck with me for the most part. Like it wasn't something that ingrained in my head where I was like, oh, I'm excited for marriage. I think most people come off where it's like it would be cool to be married one day. Like that's what people think about. Like when I'm like 40. It'd be cool to, find one day be married, but that's kind of as much as I thought about it because I really didn't see, I guess the benefits from it. It really was nothing more than just like, oh, I like this person a lot and we got married, and that was the bulk of it. And then growing up, and then again, I moved out and then I lived with my mom who was a single parent. And then obviously she's not married. So, and then it just really wasn't modeled. It was more her and my brother and one of my youngest sister, their dad. She was with him for a while, and then that was really, again, the bulk of it. He didn't really live with us. He would be there one minute and kind of gone the next. So for the most part, marriage really wasn't something that was exemplified for me, and I really didn't think of it anything more than like, oh, if you really like a person, one day you'll marry them. And then marriage is, you don't really get married young. You kind of, when you are old, you kind of one day are like, all right, I'm gonna get married one day. That's what you say, like, I would get married when I'm like mad old. And that was for the most part what it was exemplified for me. And then at least what I share with a lot of people now, and then which is cool about the podcast that you do now, because a lot of people do podcasts about stuff and they don't actually live it in real life. Right. But and this is why they brought me on, guys. They paid me and told me to say this, so I just wanted to know. No, I was kidding. But really, the first time I really see a marriage modeled really greatly for me was really when I met you guys, and then you guys kind of brought me in, and then I was able to see not only obviously just day-to-day stuff like at the house or going on trips or just going to the grocery store with you guys, and I tell them like I've seen everything. I've seen them argue, I've seen them yell at each other, guys, call each other names.
It really is
Jahmica
real.
just watched me get yelled at.
Buddy is a grown man now, but he's been around us since what, 14, 15?
Yeah, 14, 15 years old.
And it wasn't just like, oh, at church on Thursday night.
Yeah,
like,
no.
He really was at our house like almost every single day.
Yep, all the time.
Has gone on trips with us, has done ministry with us, has been in our home. When people are around, people aren't around. So
in every major, every length, everything. Yeah. So it was good for me, and obviously I won't cross into that because I know we're going to touch on that later. But that was probably, you guys were probably the first time where I was able to see healthy marriage up close and realistic marriage up close. Because I think that's another side where like people kind of there's like a fairy tale painted for people, and then they think marriage is this fairy tale, and then they get into it and they're like, oh, it's really not what was, this Disney tale story, whatever. So
what was that show that used to be on in like the 60s and 70s? It was like a black and white show, and I Love Lucy. I think that's like people's fairy tale,
or is it The Honeymooners or whatever? I
don't know that one. I just remember, I think it was my grandma watched I Love Lucy, and it was like, that was some people's, it's like one or two, right? It's either that's their perspective or it's like, when I'm 50, I'll be married.
Yeah.
And it's obviously they both have like fallacies about them, which are interesting, but real marriage isn't like getting greeted by your wife every day when you come home.
No,
she's
with
got like
fresh baked cookies.
Yeah, fresh baked cookies and like a milkmaid dress on. Like that's not the reality.
I wish.
Not every day.
My wife can't even make cereal, so
that's
I'm just kidding.
That's crazy.
We're actually going to be doing marriage counseling with them today.
What's the best type of breakfast soup that you make?
I don't. Yeah. So we've had it so many times when we're kids. So when I'm older, I'm just like, I don't even care for it anymore. So when we first got married, he was like, "You don't like cereal? What's wrong with you?"
There's something. We're gonna pray
like
for
breakfast
Jahmica,
soup?
guys.
No. Now I do.
Now she does. Now she'll eat all the cereal and won't leave none.
Well, now that I'm pregnant, I'm like, listen, I want everything that's like sweet and sugary.
Side note, they're gonna have a baby. I'm so excited.
So now I eat cereal.
And I eat cereal. I'm saying it now.
Oh my god,
girl.
We'll go back.
It's fine. If I'm wrong, come for me.
When I do my
but
YouTube
I'm saying
video,
girl.
I'm gonna make a whole false prophet video.
False prophet.
Like, here's the clip right here. Let's
this
pull it
Mike
up.
Winger?
Here's Mindy giving a false prophecy over my
False
baby's life.
prophecy over my life.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Same thing, Mish.
Okay, so it's funny because our life, it's so different. Like, I grew up with just single mom, 8 kids, second oldest. So I'm like helping taking care of
8
kids and doing
kids.
everything.
Yeah.
So we never really had any like men to like I can look at to like, oh, like this is how a man's supposed to treat a woman. We've never
Were there
had
anyone
like
in your family married?
nobody.
Wow.
My mom was never married. My aunt, like my dad, nobody was
Yeah.
married. So we never really had
Wow.
anything like to like look at.
Right.
So like, and men were just terrible in our lives because they've always came and like left. Our dad came and left. My mom just was just always just been single with 8
Right.
kids. So we never really had like anything modeled. I've never seen it. Even like just growing up at all. Like my dad wasn't out of prison. Like it was just not like men were just not good in our lives. So like when I came to church, I was like what 21 when I came to church. Even like in my life, like my son's father, you know, was not modeled like well at all. So it just was not good. But when I did get saved, just coming to church, seeing like I've never really, I mean, I've known you guys for a long time and I'm not as close to you like as Buddy, but like just watching and seeing like, I can like, okay, this is how a man's supposed to treat a woman, or this is how a woman's supposed to treat her husband, and just things like that. And like being in like the word and like knowing the Bible. Like I'm like now I'm 6 months married. I'm still learning how to be a wife.
Right.
So it's all new to me.
What did you ever like? Was marriage something that you dreamed about, or was it just kind of?
Even like just seeing all the men, I was just like, you know what? I still believe like there's someone out there for me.
Yeah.
Because I always knew like I wanted a family. I'm a family. Like, I love like my family. We're a big family, and just I mean I've always wanted. I never was like no, I'm never getting married. I mean I always said that I didn't want kids. And then I had my son, and I was like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can get mine, kids.
Just, I mean, now that I'm married, I'm like, oh yeah, this is.
What were your thoughts of marriage? Like what, beyond, someday I can see myself doing it. Like what were your ideas of it? Was it like what you saw in the movies, or was it just kind of very unknown, or what was it?
Yeah, it was like, it's definitely unknown. I knew like the movies were just like a fairy tale. Like, okay, like it cannot be this perfect all the time because we're all human.
Right.
So like I knew there was going to be like arguments and like things that are challenging and like stuff like that. But I did come in like, oh, like I'm learning. Like I'm here to learn, honestly. It was just all new.
Love it.
Yeah.
So you're 6 months in.
6 months.
And we'll just jump right to like the interesting content. What has been the most surprising thing in the first 6 months? It was like, dude, I did not expect something like this. This is a little wild.
I don't know. Do you have one on top of your head?
I don't know if there's something that like really caught me off guard, and it's not from a place of like ignorance, but it was kind of what I touched on earlier, was like I was really prepared, like really prepared. Like I said, like I was able to like before I got married, even before I made the decision to like, oh, okay, like Misha, I want to marry Misha. Like I had at least a certain understanding of like, okay, what the territory is going to come with. You know, like it's like there's going to be, you know, arguments, there's going to be disagreements, there's going to be, you know, certain things that, you know, that I do that she's not going to like, and things that she does and I'm not going to like, and I got to get used to this, or I got to get used to that. So at least from the last almost 7 months, there really hasn't been much that was caught off guard. But I guess maybe the most thing that was probably the most like surprising, or like, okay, this is a lot more evident than I thought it would be, is like living with someone every day that is very close to you is they do very much become a mirror for like yourself.
Yeah.
And you do start to kind of even you really do start to even know yourself a lot more, because you start to see and realize things. So like, for example, like I really did before living by myself, for a while, I did not know like how particular I was with a lot of things. I really didn't. I
Like
thought
what?
I'm just very
Like what? Give us one.
Okay, I don't know.
We should let Misha tell us because
I don't know. Do you want to?
He's very particular with just like literally everything. Like he'll be like, oh, can you like put the groceries away? I'll put them away. He goes back in, he rearranges everything. Or like
There's a certain
no,
There's a spot it
then he's
goes.
like, well, why don't you put them away? I'm like, if I put them away, you're gonna just rearrange them, so you might as well just do it yourself.
or you just pay attention to the way.
No, no.
Okay,
This is good.
but this is the thing is because Misha. Okay, so Misha is more like whatever. Just grab it, pay for it, throw it in there. That's it. Me, I'm like, I want to know what I'm buying, how much it is, why I need it, and then when it gets to the house, it needs to go in a certain spot. So like, if we're organizing the fridge, I put the drinks at the top, put the stuff in the middle, and produce everything at the bottom, condiments and stuff on the door.
in the doors.
That's how I do it.
That makes sense.
So it's like when you go and so you know where everything is. You know if you need to grab a drink, you grab a drink. It's right there at the top. If there's leftovers or the eggs or whatever, it's right there in the middle. If you need a condiment, you know it's on the door. So that's what
It's a good
I'm just
system.
like that.
It's a good
But I understand what. So like if something's out of place,
You know who did it?
It'll bother me, and I'm like.
Literally the other day, he was like, I knew you did this.
I just know.
Yeah, I did.
So it like I'm realizing like, okay, dang. I'm like, okay, I realized that about myself. And then it's like, then it makes you, it matures you because it's like, okay, she did this wrong.
She did
But
it
it's
wrong.
like, is it worth like
Dying on the hill.
Yeah, dying on the hill about, and that's something that I've been learning to work on because it's like, okay, this isn't something that's like worth getting the whole arguing about, getting flustered about, and we're not even gonna remember it later in the day. We're literally gonna forget about it, and it takes 2 seconds to change. So that was something for me that was like the most like, okay, this is way more prevalent, but then it was like, okay, this is actually cool because it allows me to see like what areas I can grow in, and what even more about myself, like about certain things, and even learn things about myself, like my laundry. I like my laundry washed a certain type of way, folded a certain type of way.
That's right.
Put away a certain type of way.
Yep.
Like that's just how I am. Like how I go to sleep. It's very specific.
What
like,
do you
Yeah.
do?
It got to be cold. I don't like sleeping in
That's
the
fair.
hot. I don't like
razzle dazzle.
I don't
Shout out
get-
to our Houston friends.
Yes, I don't like sleeping. I hate sleeping. I can't.
That
If
is
it's mad
same.
hot, I
Sleeping
cannot sleep.
hot
Same.
is
I can't
sucky.
sleep. So it's just, I realize like, okay, I'm starting to see certain things, and I'm like, okay. And then you even know where they like come from. It's like, okay, I'm mad particular about myself because my mom was mad particular about stuff. Like I hate moving now
Right.
because my mom, she is mad
Yes.
particular and was like, you gotta bring it in this way. You gotta box it up this way. You gotta dig it out
Yep.
this way. And I'm like,
like that.
"Frick." So, but now I realize that was kind of, so that was probably it for me. You got one?
I don't really have one.
Well-
I think those are like the things because like my mom's the same way. She's very particular. But to know like a man is like super particular about like things like that, I was just like,
Whoa.
oh, okay.
Wow, that's rude.
Whoa.
I'm just
rude.
saying, I'm not saying
That
that,
is
men are like
sexist.
they don't care, but
Cancel it. Sexist.
She's surprised. She's just very much surprised that like I do like a lot of like I do laundry, like I know how to clean,
That you're
I know how
involved.
to like I'm involved.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh my gosh, like she's like, oh my gosh, like you know how to, you actually care about these certain type of things. And I'm like, yeah.
yeah, I washed his shirt one time and I shrunk it.
Jerk.
No.
He was so
Because it was a high quality. I
went to
like
church
nice
and he was
things.
mad. I was like, come on.
It was a high, and I told her, I said,
Come on.
listen, if you wash
so
this,
sorry.
you cannot dry it. You have to hang it up. And then she didn't. And I'm like, you just don't care. You don't care about my stuff. You really care about yourself and your own stuff.
He did. He went to church. I'm like, you're so mad at me. He was like, yeah. I was like, oh my gosh.
remember that Sunday.
Stop.
Yes, that's
So,
funny.
yeah, those are some things, but it's cool because it makes me help realize what I need to work on. So
No, that's. I mean, and that shows maturity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when we can. Okay, clearly I don't like this. Is uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
but clearly I have to work on
Yeah.
something, and I can work on changing it. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. Before we talk more about that, because I think this is good. Like, what did you both do specifically okay, you knew you wanted to get married. What did you specifically do to prepare yourselves for marriage? Because I think this is huge, and I think you both did an excellent job with it. So I think it's important to share like what you actually did in preparation for marriage.
I don't think it's hard. For me, at least, just being in the Word and like knowing who I am and just being confident in myself.
Right.
Honestly, was like just focusing on my relationship with the Lord and making sure that we're good. Because I mean, everything just flows out of that.
Yeah.
I feel like even like being married, I can tell like the difference. Like if I'm good with God, I know that my relationship with my husband will be even better.
It's good.
So just for me, honestly, just really being like grounded in the Word and like just knowing who I am in Christ.
Right. Did you have because, all right, I'm going to let y'all in on a little secret too, guys. Misha, about probably 5 or 6 years ago,
I did.
she pulled me aside and she was like, guys, she was like, Mindy, Buddy's going to be my husband.
Yeah, I was 12 years old.
Stop.
I'm joking.
Oh my gosh.
But she came to me and she's like, listen, I know I'm going to marry Buddy. He's going to be my husband. And, you know, I was like, listen, that's good.
Calm down.
Okay, don't tell anybody that.
She did say that.
Just keep it, you know, keep praying in on it. And if it's the Lord, then it's going to happen. Just trust the process. Yeah. And so do you think that you had moments, or can you share of moments where you maybe started, like, did you ever deal with feeling like impatient or just wanting it to happen?
Yeah.
Or
I don't think I was really
about that.
impatient. I just think I really doubted myself. I'm like, okay, was this God or was it just me? Because
Was Buddy's attractive?
he is.
I am.
I am.
Yeah, but I don't think I don't honestly, I think like the last year before we started like dating and stuff, I was like, all right, God, what's going on? It's been a couple years now. I've been faithful.
Yeah.
You're playing games with me right now.
Yeah. You're playing games.
You're playing games with me.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think I was like, I mean, I was single for like 8 years. So I was like, I can wait. There's no problem. But I wasn't really impatient. I was just like, was this you, or was it just me like being just emotional and like in my feelings? But
yeah, that's fair. I think that, like, I want to point out the fact that what a massive win you had by letting Buddy grow up.
Yeah.
And not that Buddy wasn't a baby, but I think a lot of young ladies actually like mess it up. And if you would have tried this 5 years ago, like, he was in no position to be married at all, but to let him mature into a man was huge. And I can't imagine how bad it could have been, but to not be impatient, to not jump the gun, to allow that maturing process to occur was genius. And I think that is like a huge win in even where you guys are now, where it's like, well, the first year isn't terrible so far. Like, it is because there wasn't just this giant rush on like, well, I'm gonna do it right now, or I'm gonna die and I'm gonna implode. And like, letting a young man grow up into a man is one of the best things a young lady can do. Huge win.
Yeah.
Huge one.
So what would you say to single ladies right now with wherever that would encourage them?
It's okay to wait. I think they're just
Yeah.
such in a rush. Like, oh, everyone around, because around me, like all my friends were getting married.
Right. Did you feel that pressure? Like, I need to hurry up at any point?
Not really. I think it's because I already knew who I was going to marry. So it was just like, you know what, like,
She just had that confidence.
I was like, listen, I'm not, whenever he's ready, Lord, just let me know.
Yeah.
But honestly, just, it's okay to wait. Like, you don't have to rush. It'll happen.
Right.
And when it does, you're going to be like, I don't even know. Like, I waited 8 years and it doesn't feel like I waited 8 years.
Right.
I feel like we've been together for that long. But it's
Yeah.
been 6 months. But I honestly just wait. It's okay to wait.
Yeah.
And don't rush it.
good.
You'll find your husband, I promise.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
If you have the desire.
Literally, it will happen.
Well, I even remember in character class one time, you said that, like, I was just talking junk to you that day. He's like, he's like, you were saying that to me. But there was a point in it, we were talking about relationships and how many people, what they do is they just try to find like the best spouse. But there is a moment where you really should be developing yourself. So it's cool that Misha got to wait 8 years to develop herself and really become the best option for a spouse. And I think that's what all young people should be doing while they're waiting, is like, don't just wait around on autopilot. You're just floating through life hoping the right person shows up. No, like, make yourself the best available option and the best version of yourself, so that when it comes to actually finding the person, you're ready, you're prepared, you're mature. It will set you up so well to get ready beforehand, rather than just hoping the right person pulls up.
Right.
Can you share a little bit on maybe, so you said you took that time for preparation, like did the Lord show you things about yourselves that was like, okay, like these are the things I need to work on and get shored up in him?
Yeah.
You know?
There was like a few things. It's funny because
you don't have to share the specific thing. The point is, like,
share your deacons.
Obviously, like you just said, right? Yeah, expose yourself. No. But like, specifically, are we willing and attentive to listen to what the Lord's saying? Okay, I'm going to prepare a spouse for you, but here's what I need you to give me, and here's what we need to work on together,
right? And
for you to grow in, so you can be the best spouse,
right? I think what God has shown me, like especially my waiting, it was just that there are good men out there. Because like growing up, I never really had that, like a good man. And the last relationship I was in was like very toxic. So like going in, especially to marriage, I was like, I'm marrying a good man. Like God showed me that there are good men out there, and like just for God just being that man for me, and like just seeing like God in him is just easy to be like, okay, like there's actually good men out there.
It's good.
So
yeah, that's awesome. All right, buddy, what'd you do?
She gave the spiritual answer. I'll give some of the practical stuff. One, I had a lot of trustworthy people around me, and not just people that would just yes man me and allow me to do whatever, but would like be real with me and smack me up inside the head if I needed it. So which was really good. Everything was out in the open. Like I had a bunch of conversations with you guys. I had a bunch of conversations with like Cole, who's like my best friend, who I trust a lot to like be real with me. So that was one. I created a lot of, and I made sure the environment that I was in could produce the things I needed to be able to go into and have a healthy marriage and have it, even a healthy, whatever, be spiritual life, character life, everything prior. So I made sure those things were in order. And like I said, I just made sure to keep up with those things, like things that I needed to work on, like whatever it be with money, things at home, spiritual things, just making sure that I was getting all my ducks in a row. So when I went into marriage, I wasn't like, oh, I didn't take care of this. I didn't take care of that. Didn't take care of this. So that was kind of what the mission that I was on was like, okay, before I get to this, I need to make sure like I got these things locked in first. Like I need to make sure, and like the conversation we would have was like, we would look at a lot of the reasons why people get divorced. One of the reasons is money. I'm like, okay, right now I need to make sure I need to get my money in order. Whatever things I need to do, whatever savings wise, or locking a decent job, or I even make sure my own spiritual principles when it comes to money is in order, because I don't want to get into because this what people think is like, they think once you get married, it's like you've broke it's like running a race and you broke the finish line and then it's cool. But that's not what it is. That's not what it is. It's like now it's not you. Instead of running, it's a whole nother marathon, but it's with the person that now you're So it's like, it's not like it cools off. It's like now it's uphill. Now it's like, oh, you really, that was the tutorial. Now it's like now you really get started. So I wanted to make sure like I didn't have to try to learn things, and you are gonna learn things in the. You can't learn. You don't know what you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like I could make sure I knew everything before going in, but I made sure like, okay, anything I can make sure is good, that I'm not trying to figure out in a stressful environment. I have it down packed. So that was like just big for me. I just made sure like I had people in my corner, not just yes men, but people that would be real with us and tell us real stuff. Because that was like when we sat down and have even together the conversations we had with you guys, drills, like make sure y'all got this in order, y'all got that in order, make sure you're doing this. Like we had the premarital sex talks, like we had all that, like everything that was.
It wasn't as bad as people were saying.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah, like even one of the things, like we had premarital, which was very important, and which was cool. Was a lot of it, like I said, was a lot of it that we were learning was you guys were teaching me and showing me even prior to even dating Misha. So all those things were good, and I think that's what I would encourage people is make sure you are in an environment that is going to breed the things that you need to have a successful relationship.
So we're going to start landing this plane here soon. What are some things that you wished people would have told you before you got married? Or what are some things that people told you as like, as you got into it, you're like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense now. What are some of those like key things that stick out? You wish you would have got told, or someone did tell you, and in the marriage, you're like, oh, okay, now this makes a lot of sense.
Mine would be, it's okay to argue. Because obviously things are not like perfect. Like like I said, we're human. We came from different backgrounds. We're two totally different people. But it's okay to argue. Like for me, I hate like confrontation. Like literally, he literally loves it. Like he doesn't, he'll confront me. He don't care. He doesn't even care. He is. He likes to debate and all that and argue. Like,
Buddy,
for me, it was just
we're gonna have a poll in the comment section.
Yes.
Anyone who knows Buddy,
we're
gonna go ahead and say that if you think he's an instigator,
I really don't.
Buddy's an instigator.
He knows that he is. He's in denial right now.
V&A's about to get on here and comment 100 times.
No, she's the worst instigator ever.
Oh, you are.
No, that's good though.
But it's okay. Yeah. For me, it's okay. Like it's literally okay to argue. It's okay to confront your husband about whatever is bothering you or what you want him to know. Or that was something that was like people were telling me about it, but I'm like, oh, okay. And then when we got into it, I was like, oh, okay. My husband loves to debate and really talk. We just have really good conversations. We do. I would agree. You're just very intense sometimes.
I'm not intense.
Yes. I'm just like, oh, okay. Okay, there. Okay, Bucko.
Pump the brakes, guy.
Okay, Bucko.
Listen here, Bucko.
I'm not intense.
I just saw a meme that said, it was so stupid. It says, if your wife's arguing with you and you're done with it, it's like, just start taking your clothes off. She'll automatically get a headache and have to take a nap.
No, that's
I was like, yo,
he's banned.
Crazy.
He's banned from YouTube.
That's crazy.
He's banned from the tubes.
It's funny.
Random fact.
I would say for me, this was a spicy one.
Not the spicy.
I would say for me that how do I want to word it? You better hope you really like them because sex isn't going to keep you guys together.
It's true.
And that's what was like the reality of it. Sure. Like if you really want to, the reality of it is like when you genuinely like someone and you're saving yourself for marriage, obviously there's a lot of feelings and hormones pent up. And that's what people just think of. They think of this, the reward at the end.
Right.
And it clouds their mind on if they actually like and enjoy being with this person. And that was, I guess, another thing that we made sure that we had in order prior was that we actually liked each other and we were actually best friends.
Right. No, that's really good. That's solid.
So going into it, after you consummate and you hug. And
you hug in the dark.
And you hug in the dark and you go to sleep. You wake up and you realize like, huh?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, you make sure like after you realize, okay, it's a good thing I really, really like you. Because it's like, if it's like it happens and you're like, oh dang, because I know where she's at when she talks with some of her friends who are not married and they ask her about waiting a long time and stuff like that, and she said, I'll be honest with you, like once it happens you don't feel like you waited however many years you had waited, like you don't it's like that and you forget about it and you don't feel like it was a long period of time, and then you realize like once those set of pent up emotions and the things fade away, now it's like, oh, do I really like you? And I do. So
That's good.
And I do.
Good. See?
And I do.
So that was the thing, because you know when people say like my friend, that's funny. I'm one of my friends that I talk to. He would always say all the time, and he's like, "Bro, you make sure you really like her, because once, I'm not gonna say the term, but once you do the thing, then you're gonna find out." And I'm like, listen, like, whatever. I feel like you're just saying that because you've been married for however many years. But no, you really realize it very quick. And now I see why some people, they get married and they like get divorced super quick after, because they realize like, oh crap,
I didn't like this person.
I didn't really like this person. It was just teenage hormones or whatever. So.
Shout out like young Christians.
Shout out young Christians.
So that was probably it for me. That I was like, okay, this is very, very much real.
That's good.
Very
That's
much
good.
real.
No, I think that's great. It's solid.
Last piece of advice that you would give somebody in your long marriage.
Advice.
Long marriage to 7 months in.
Advice.
What would you say like is a best way to make sure, because it hasn't been terrible.
No.
And that's like, even I think it was our first episode was like how to make sure your first year of marriage is not terrible.
Yeah.
Because I hate that lie.
No. Yeah.
I do too.
It's because you didn't do the lead up right.
Yeah.
So what would you just kind of like advise people, like, hey, it hasn't been bad so far. Give them hope, because how many people don't get married because they're terrified of a terrible marriage?
Yeah.
So what would you say to give some hope?
I would just bounce off what he said earlier. Just really get to know the person first, and just like sit down and talk to them. Like, what do they want out of life? And like things like, just have those conversations. Be like, okay, do I actually want to like marry this person?
I would say to give them hope that marriage is actually great.
It's fun.
And I genuinely believe that God designed us to be with people, not just platonically, but everyone's different, but those people who are called to be married, not just platonically, but relationally. And it's awesome. And it's not just this kind of one-time thing where you make a choice and you think of, don't get caught up in the wedding, don't get caught up in the reception, don't get caught up in the sex after. Like think of the extended future. Think of the decision that you make isn't just for today, but it's for decades down the line.
Absolutely.
And when you look at like the reality of it, yes, you are literally coming together with someone and living with someone that grew up apart from you, in a different household, in a different upbringing. Rather it be, you could still be in the same neighborhood, it's still going to be different, and there's going to be disagreements, and you're not always going to agree, and it's fine. But marriage can really be great as long as you take care of what you're supposed to take care of, and just do that. Take care of what you're supposed to take care of. Figure out what you're supposed to figure out, and when you go in, like one of the things that Pastor had to say in premarital was that divorce is not an option. And that doesn't mean like I can't wake up and be like, make that choice, because I very much can. But it's the concept of that we are going to strive, and we're going to work hard, and we are going to look at the reality and look at the facts and do whatever we got to do to have a healthy and great marriage. So don't follow the trends, don't follow what media tries to say, that it's miserable and you're gonna hate the person, whatever. It's honestly like how it should be with God, is that you can grow to love that person every day. And when you're 40, you should when you're 40, it shouldn't be, in parallel. It shouldn't be like you sit way in the back and you used to be in the front worshiping. It should be like, dang, you love your partner way more than you did when you first met him. So there's hope. Don't listen to the Grinches and the Scrooges of the world. Right. Marriage is awesome, and it could be awesome from jump one. Now that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be obstacles and bumps and hurdles, but you decide how you react to them and you respond to them. They can either be the end of the world and the world's ending and it's heaven's falling out of the sky, or you could take it as, okay, this is a learning moment and we're going to grow from it. But yeah, marriage is awesome.
It's true. You make it what you want, honestly.
Yeah, you make it what you want.
It's good.
You control what you can control.
Yeah. I love that. And I love these guys, and I'm super proud of them. And they've been, looking at your marriage from the outside. Like, you guys are doing a great job. And I know it's going to continue to be great, especially once this little baby girl comes.
I know, baby boy.
Oh my God.
Well, guys, we hope this encourages you.
Amen.
See you.
Later.